Our next student presenter is Ananya Oli. Ananya lives in Marion, Iowa, and attends Linn-Mar High School. The title of her project is Today's Voters, Tomorrow's Future.
In every election, millions of young people don't vote simply because they feel unprepared or unsure about the process. I'm here to change that through my project, Today's Voter, Tomorrow's Future. I aim to bridge the gap between young voters and the information they need to feel empowered at the polls. Let's take a closer look at why voting matters, especially for us, and how we can make sure our voices are heard. If people do not go to the polls, freedom will die at its roots. These words from Herbert Hoover, the 31st President of the United States, capture how vital voting is for our democracy. For Hoover, ensuring that people went to the polls wasn't just a personal belief, it was a part of his responsibility as president. He understood that voting wasn't just a duty, but the foundation of freedom itself. This quote inspired my project because I saw that many young people who have the power to impact future policies aren't using their voice at the polls. Just like Hoover, I see voting as essential. My goal is to help students understand that their votes can shape the future, just as Hoover emphasized. As someone whose family immigrated to the United States, I grew up seeing voting as a huge privilege. This year is especially meaningful because it's the first election in which my parents and my sister are eligible to vote. They're thrilled to have a voice in shaping the future of the country they now call home, and for me, this experience highlights how powerful it is to vote. I was honestly surprised to see how many people don't use it, especially among younger voters. Looking at this graph, we can see that voter turnout among ages 18 to 24 is the lowest of all age groups, often being just below 50%. This is a critical issue as young people are the ones who are most affected by policies such as climate change, education, and job creation. I believe that if students understood how impactful their vote could be, we could see a major increase in youth turnout, and that's why I felt compelled to take on this project. To create a project that would truly address the needs of young voters, I started by researching voter turnout trends in our area, which show a lower than average voter turnout among young voters. This data highlighted the real gap and drove home the importance of encouraging young people to vote. However, I knew I couldn't just rely on statistics, and I had to talk to educators and students in my community to find out what they needed. So I went a step further and spoke with them, especially the government teachers at my school. These teachers are directly involved in educating students about democracy, and they have valuable insights on what kinds of questions and challenges students face when voting. Many teachers mention that students are interested in voting, but they often feel overwhelmed by the amount of information out there and aren't always clear on the steps to register and make an informed choice. Based on these conversations, I gathered ideas and feedback to build a project that would be practical, engaging, and relevant to high school seniors who are eligible to vote. Through conversations with students, I noticed some recurring themes about their challenges with voting. Many students expressed feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information online, and they struggled to separate fact from bias. They wanted trustworthy, unbiased resources that could help them make informed decisions without feeling lost in a sea of information. Others mentioned that they didn't even know how to begin with voting, basic things such as how to register, where to go, and what a ballot looks like. This showed me that while there was an interest in participating, there was also a gap in the understanding of the process. Some students even doubted whether their vote would make a difference, not thinking that one person's vote truly made a difference in elections. This made it clear that for my project to succeed, I needed to talk about more than just the how-tos of voting and address the why. Why each individual vote is so powerful and necessary. Combining all the information I found, I came up with the best approach to engage voters in my area. In today's digital age, you may think finding information about voting would be easy, but for young people trying to get information about their first election, the online landscape can actually be a huge barrier. With countless websites, news outlets, and social media offering information, students can quickly feel overwhelmed. Some sites are packed with technical language, while others have a strong bias that don't give accurate information on candidates. On top of that, a lot of these websites are cluttered with ads, pop-ups, and unrelated content, which makes finding information even harder. For a first-time voter just trying to get clear guidance, they're met with a lot of distractions and extra clicks that just add to the frustration. Instead of getting clear guidance, they're met with complex layouts and a lot of noise, making it easy to give up or lose interest. To address the challenges of young voters, I focused on a simple yet impactful solution: creating and distributing clear and informative pamphlets. These pamphlets were designed to walk students through the voting process, focusing on essential information that was both straightforward and unbiased. These pamphlets were distributed to my school and schools in the area, and I distributed about 600 to the seniors at my school and 2,000 to other schools in the surrounding area, such as Cedar Rapids and Prairie. Each pamphlet was carefully organized into sections that I thought would be the most helpful based on student feedback. I included a section that shows why voting matters and people's role in democracy, hoping to inspire students by showing them that their voices can have an impact on their community and the issues that they care about. Another section explains how to register to vote, providing a step-by-step guide, and another section goes over how to fill a ballot, which addresses the questions that a lot of students had about what a ballot looks like and how to complete it accurately. Additionally, there's a section on finding information about candidates, which encourages students to seek out information on their own rather than relying on potentially biased things they see on social media. To maximize engagement, we distributed the pamphlets out throughout the day, making sure students received them at a time where they could talk to other students and friends about it. Having a physical copy was intentional too. My goal was for these pamphlets to be something that people could take home and potentially talk to their parents and family about to get the conversation started about the importance of voting in households. In addition to pamphlets, I realized that social media would be essential for getting young voters' attention, especially on platforms such as Instagram, TikTok, which is the place that a lot of voters 18 to 24 spend their time. By meeting my audience where they are, I was able to reach students more effectively and in a way that felt natural to them. These accounts allowed me to share regular content that complemented the pamphlets and gave information about how to register, reminders about deadlines, and information about candidates and issues, which helped students stay informed. One advantage of using social media is that it's shareable, and students can easily repost and share things with their friends beyond just the people who follow the accounts, which creates a ripple effect, allowing students across different schools and communities to see it, even if they don't follow the accounts. I also included reminders leading up to the election to encourage early voting and keep the momentum going for Election Day. To further promote youth voter turnout and emphasize the importance of participating, I organized 2 in-person presentations at a local library, one 3 weeks before the election and another one 5 days prior, to catch both early and last-minute voters. Hosting the presentation at the library helped me reach a broader audience outside of just my school and allowed me to speak to not only younger voters, but also older voters and other community members. This gave me the chance to create a supportive atmosphere where voting felt like a community priority. During each presentation, I talked about topics like why voting is important, how to register, and find information about candidates. I used the pamphlets as a guide and walked the people there how to keep the information clear and finding points that resonated with both new and old voters. By breaking down complex topics into steps, I helped simplify the voting process. These events also allowed for Q&A sessions where attendees were able to ask questions such as registration steps, what's going to be on a ballot, and how to find their nearest polling location. The library's environment also created a comfortable environment where people could ask questions that they might not feel comfortable asking in a more formal setting. One of the most rewarding aspects of seeing these presentations was sparking conversation with people in my community. People were discussing the election and sharing their own reasons for voting, and through these events, I was able to connect with a wider audience beyond just students at my school and bring community members into the conversation. Throughout my project, I got feedback from students about what they thought was helpful and what was not. Here's a short video from a student who found the social media updates especially helpful for staying on top of latest election news.
I'm Aubrey Lindblom, and as a new voter, I definitely wanted to make sure that I was prepared and everything, and the social media really helped me to keep updated with the deadlines for registration and everything, and my voting went very smoothly.
After the election, I received a lot of positive feedback from students and community members about how the information I provided made a difference. Many students expressed that before the project they had either not considered voting or didn't know how to go about it. After receiving the pamphlets and attending the presentations, they felt more confident about their ability to participate in the election. The feedback also showed that many people didn't realize how much their vote could impact local issues, and this made them more invested in the process, realizing that their vote does matter and affects things that shape their future. Overall, the feedback I received reinforced the importance of providing accessible and clear information to people who are new to the voting process. It showed me that when young people feel informed and empowered, they are much more likely to participate, which is exactly what I was hoping to achieve. This positive response has encouraged me to continue this work in my community and beyond. As the election comes to a close, I see an important opportunity to continue my project and keep the momentum going on my social media, to make sure that the next generation of voters stays engaged, not just during major elections, but consistently throughout their lives. I plan to use my social media accounts to bridge the gap between election years, since many people lose interest after the excitement of an election passes. By continuing to post on local and national government matters, sharing news about city issues, and discussing topics that affect young people, I can keep these voters informed and involved even when there isn't an election around the corner. Additionally, I want to focus on providing information about midterm elections, which historically have much lower turnouts than presidential election years. By keeping the momentum going through regular posts, updates, and interactive content, I hope to create a long-term platform that continues to inspire young people to stay informed, involved, and keep voting, not just every 4 years, but every time that their vote counts. With the tools I've created, I hope to inspire not just current young voters, but a legacy of engaged voters for years to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just curious, in a rather polarizing year, how challenging, do you think that made it more challenging to get people to respond to this information? And did you put any thought into that, like when creating the pamphlet, to try to keep things, as neutral as possible?
Yeah, so to keep things neutral, I tried to focus on things that the candidates were actually doing instead of things that they were maybe saying or things that were on their campaign websites. Because even though those things are relevant, I think people care more about actions and what they have actually done in their previous terms or currently. So I tried to just focus on things that they had done so that there was no bias that could be made of trying to assert things a certain way.
Thank you.
Very nice presentation. What type of volunteers did you have? Was it just you yourself doing all this, or did you engage other people in this activity?
So I did have volunteers. I had help making and distributing the pamphlets. So to make the pamphlets, I got help from our school student council. They helped me design it, and also the yearbook club. They helped me design it to make sure the sections were all good. And then to fold and distribute the pamphlets, I got help from Key Club at my school, and they were able to receive volunteering hours for it, so there was incentive to come help out and distribute them.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.